I've slowly been building momentum with my page, and it's been crazy that I've been able to out earn now my engineering salary in the first 3 months of the year, which sucks to be on that end of it. But that's one of the reasons I've now become so passionate about just building something that's my own and also empowering other moms to go after their own thing because you can't be disposable to yourself. The thing that shifted for me when I hit 40 or 50 or whatever that age is like, it doesn't really matter what other people think about you, because at the end of the day, on your deathbed, the last thing you're going to think about is what so and so said about you. It's going to be, what is the thing that I really wanted to do that I didn't do? And it's usually like your regret. I'm an engineer, I'm an introvert, and it does take a lot of work for me to show up on here. But every day with taking action and with proving to myself that I'm capable, I've just grown so much as a person in this past year. There's definitely days where I feel no motivation to post. And those are the most important days to post and show up. Those are the reels that just have gone viral for me. It's crazy. I don't know what it is. And the reels that you spend so much time editing, sometimes those just completely flop. None of that really matters. In the long run, if you want to be a creator that is successful and continues on, you can't let those numbers get to you, because then it just stops you from creating, or it kind of blocks you creatively because you want to appease the people. Yeah. But really it's what do you want to create? Who do you want to be? Not what other people want you to be.
Welcome back to Be Anomalous, the podcast for the misfits, the trailblazers, the cultural disruptors, and anyone bold enough to carve their own path. I'm Sai Menon, and today's guest is Stephanie Fisher, an engineer, a mom of four, and a content creator who completely transformed her life after unexpectedly being laid off from her career she thought she would have forever. What started as a creative outlet during late nights after her kids went to sleep slowly turned into a platform reaching thousands of followers. But this conversation goes far beyond content creation. We talk about motherhood and ambition, overcoming the fear of being perceived, building something that's truly your own, and what happens when you finally stop letting other people's expectation define your life. Steph opens up about getting laid off, the mindset shift that pushed her to start posting consistently, and how showing up online helped her discover confidence she didn't know she had. We also dive into the internet pressure, transparency around money, trolls, routines, and why authenticity still matters in a world built around performance. This conversation is extremely honest, reflective, and deeply inspiring for anyone trying to reinvent themselves, trust their instincts, or build something outside the traditional path. So, if you ever wondered whether it's too late to start over, or whether your life would could look completely different a year from now, this episode is for you. It's truly going to inspire you. So let's get into it. Hi, Steph. It's so good to talk to you. Welcome to Be Anomalous. I'm really, really excited to dive in. I have so many questions to ask you. But before we dive in, how would introduce yourself?
Oh man. So my name is Stephanie Fisher, and I am 33 years old. I am a mom of four, and I have been an engineer for the past 10 years. I specialized in civil engineering, more specifically water resources. But over the last 8 years, I've actually been in the residential space. And then I recently, 1 year ago, started creating content and building a personal brand online. And that kind of completely shifted my entire life. And unfortunately, I was let go from my engineering job at the beginning of this year in 2026. And so I decided to just go all in on content creation. I've slowly been building momentum with my page, and it's been crazy that I've been able to out earn now my engineering salary in the first 3 months of the year, which is crazy to say out loud because I've only been creating content for just a little over a year now.
Yeah. You said unfortunately. Do you think it is unfortunately or fortunately at this point?
At this point, fortunately. But at the time, I did not see it that way. I was completely heartbroken and blindsided. When I was in my engineering position in my company, I felt like we were a family. I felt like I was going to be there forever. And just going through that experience was just kind of a slap in the face and a realization that in a company that you don't build, you really are just a number. And once you are no longer profitable or whatever the case may be, you are just a number at the end of the day, which sucks to be on that end of it. But that's one of the reasons I've now become so passionate about just building something that's my own and also empowering other moms to go after their own thing because you can't be disposable to yourself.
Yeah. Do you think that experience taught you something? I mean, you said that at the end of the day, you're just a number. Was there a specific reason why you didn't want to go back and like look for more jobs?
Yeah, the biggest one is I've always wanted more time flexibility, and I'm a very big goal setter, and something that I've always had a goal to be self-employed in my 30s.
Okay.
And one of my goals has always been to try to be self-employed. And I didn't know what that was going to look like for me at all. I had no idea. I'm someone that always has a million ideas, and I've played with a lot of different things. And so when I just started content creation kind of as a side hustle just for fun, my creative outlet. And it's kind of crazy that it's turned into now my full-time job, which is really crazy. But now as a mom of four, what I've been craving and wanting is always just the time flexibility and the ability to be more present for my kids and with a drop of the hat, just be able to be there for them if I need to be. And so that's what I love so much about now the flexibility of working for myself.
Mom of four. Wow. I honestly don't know how you do it. I have one and I'm still like, oh my God.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah. So tell me, how did you get started with content creation? You said that it was a creative outlet. I had seen that you created multiple different, like this was not the first channel that you created. You've created and you've done this multiple times. What kept you going and what did you learn through that process?
Yeah, so this is actually my sixth Instagram page that I've started, and all of them have little bit been first. Initially, I tried to take off my personal page, and I mostly hid behind the camera, and I was actually sharing a lot of my kids, which then I realized that's not something that I really want to do. So then I shut that down, and other ventures that I wanted to try to find a way to, be my own boss and do little things here and there. And so I started a fitness page that was just about fitness. Then I started a page on fairy hair. I got really into like putting fairy hair in girls'
Oh,
hair, and I thought it would be a fun business to start on the side. But the one thing about that is that I really wanted to find something that I could do when my kids were sleeping and build on the side of my engineering job, which was very difficult to do. And just little, yeah, other different things that didn't necessarily pan out. And the biggest reason for those things was that I wanted to be able to build something on top of my engineering job while I was working it, and then also being a present mom. So really, the only time was when my kids were sleeping, and I asked myself, like, what is that thing that I can build while my kids are sleeping? And what I kept coming back to was just creating content and building my own personal brand and posting content. And so that's kind of how I got started. But one of my big inspirations was seeing one of my favorite content creators sharing her earnings just very transparently, how much she was making. And she had only been creating content, I think, at this point for a year and a half, maybe a little longer. And she had just gone all in on content creation. She quit her corporate job. And a month after that, she landed one of her biggest brand deals that paid her $75,000 for one brand deal. And something in my brain shifted that I was like, if she could do it, what's stopping me from doing it? Because I really saw myself in her. And that shifted something in my brain that I was like, okay, let me just give this a shot. And just 3 months after creating content, I got my first big brand deal that was $6,500. And getting that inbound email also gave me kind of like okay, this is actually really possible, and made me keep going even harder because I knew that if it was possible, it was really something that I'm capable of if I set my mind to it. So that got me started.
You do you think one of the things that like the other pages that didn't work and versus the page that right now worked, what do you think was the reason? Is it the mindset shift and the consistency part of it?
Definitely mindset shift and consistency, but I think the bigger thing is the other ones were a lot more, they weren't really me. It was things that I was trying to push that I couldn't talk about consistently. And it's not something that I was doing every single day. And with my current page, I feel like I'm building more of a personal brand. I have tried to stick to kind of like my messaging and what I want my page to be about, but I'm also able to share all these different aspects of my life where I don't get bored day to day what I need to share because my inspiration just comes from what I'm living in the moment and what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
so it's not something that I've gotten bored of yet. I'm still super passionate and excited about what the future holds because I feel like the possibilities are just endless with content creation. I can pretty much talk about anything, especially if what you're doing is building a personal brand online.
That is so true. And I feel like when you're being authentic, you're just sharing everything. But it's
Mhm.
also a double-edged sword, right? Like in the sense that you have to reason with yourself what you're going to share and what you're not going to share. And that's like such a challenge and a lot of people struggle with. So how did you find that balance from the beginning? And are you still learning?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely still learning. I go back and forth all the time if I want to share my kids on here at all. And at the beginning, I was very against it, and then my mindset shifted a little bit. And I go back and forth on like that front of like how much I want to share of my kids. And then other aspects of my life, I'm honestly pretty much an open book. I will share a lot of aspects of my life, but I don't think that you necessarily have to be that way in order to be successful online. Some of my favorite creators to follow are people in the personal finance space, and what they talk about openly is their finances. And they don't really share anything else about their life, and they still do really well because what they're sharing is very valuable for people to learn about and also very relatable. A lot of them are sharing about their own like debt payoff journeys or how they're investing and things that people can relate to and take value from. So I think it really just depends on the person how much of your life you are willing to share. And to be successful, you really don't need to share every single aspect of your life. I think that it is so personal what you want to share. You just have to decide what that is and stick to that.
For you, how did that kind of decision take place? Because even the fact that getting laid off, you actually came to the camera and shared that, and that's such a personal experience that a lot of people process it in different ways. And I feel like one of the things that keeps or like makes you so special as a content creator and someone that people can so relate to is that you're on a day-to-day basis, you're just like you said, you're an open book. You get to know what you're going through. So yeah, how do you do that?
I think something that really holds a lot of people back with creating content, posting their life online is just the fear of being perceived, the fear of what other people are going to think. And this is something that held me back for so many years. One of the reasons I didn't actually want to create content was because I was afraid of whatever I don't know, the mom at the pickup line is going to think about me,
Yeah.
right? And something I kept just seeing more and more of was older people, I don't know, in books and maybe even videos like this, sharing like the thing that shifted for me when I hit 40 or 50 or whatever that age is like it doesn't really matter what other people think about you because at the end of the day, on your deathbed, the last thing you're going to think about is what said about you. It's going to be what is the thing that I really wanted to do that I didn't do. And it's usually like your regret. What regrets do you have, right? And I always thought like I would always regret if I didn't actually give this a shot. And so that's kind of just pushed me to, I really let go of the fear of what other people think so much this year. And that really, I think a lot of it had to do with getting that first big brand deal and finally getting the check of $6,500 for I think it was like two videos. And that just gave me the confidence that I was capable of creating content that people found valuable and wanted to see. And then also living out what I've always wanted to do. I feel like I'm also a model to my kids of
Yeah.
I'm always pushing them to try new things all the time, right? Like, you need to try this new food, or you need to go and you need to be the one talking to this person instead of me asking for you. It's just modeling to my kids the way that I want them to be. I want them to not be fearful of what other people think, and I want to be that example for them. And I can't say that if I don't do it myself, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that kind of also pushed me out of my box and really has grown my confidence tremendously over the past year. I don't think if I had gotten on this podcast, I wouldn't be able to talk to you this confidently. I'm an engineer, I'm an introvert, and it does take a lot of work for me to show up on here, but every day with taking action and with proving to myself that I'm capable, I've just grown so much as a person in this past year.
That is so, like, I've heard this from a lot of content creators who are so authentic that they are introverts and they find it really hard to talk to people or, like, be able to share stuff, but they're okay to be able to let that outlet, like, do be so authentic and just speak to the camera and post it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a skill that can be learned. I think a lot of it has to do with a growth mindset, and you are more capable than you give yourself credit for, and a lot of it has to do with what you're telling yourself about yourself.
Yeah.
And you just have to rewire your brain to say, no, I am capable of this and I can take action and get better. All of these things are things that we can improve on.
You said that you like you follow your favorite content creators are people who are like extremely open about their finances, and how did you make the decision that you want to also be transparent about that, because that's another layer of transparency and authenticity. So because that can, like, I mean, it can open up to jealousy, the people around you know how much you're making, and all of those kind of things. There's negative aspect to it, but at the same time positive aspect to it. So how did you kind of reconcile that?
Oh man. So the reason that I got started with content creation was seeing my favorite content creators sharing those numbers with me. And something that I also want to do with my page is inspire and motivate people to take action and create content because it can literally change your life like it has changed mine. And so because of that, I want to share my numbers transparently to show people what's possible. And if this is possible for me as someone who is an introvert, someone who had these fears, I know it's possible for so many more people. And I hope that by sharing my numbers, I'm just able to inspire more people to just put themselves out there.
Yeah. Steph, I feel like you're a rare breed too, because a lot of people feel like you seem like a person that I want everyone around me to win as well. But that's not somewhat the mindset that people have in terms of wanting to grow together. Was that something that you were born with?
I don't know, but I truly feel like there is just so much room. There's so much space for everyone online. Online is just so big, and you don't I love I love collaborating with other creators and bouncing ideas off each other, and even like giving someone a bone. Like, if this partnership worked for me, I know it's going to work for this other creator in my niche, and I'm going to share my contact information with this brand if they ask me. Like, I'm more than happy to share that. And like one of the procedures, or one of my brand collaborations was with LASIK Plus, and I actually asked my favorite content creator that inspired me to create content. She was doing a paid partnership with LASIK, and LASIK is something I've wanted to get done for the longest time. And so I just reached out to her, and I've always been very I pretty much comment on everything she posts. So like at this point, we've had many conversations, and I felt comfortable enough asking her for their contact. I very nicely just asked, like, hey, do you think that you would be able to share your LASIK contact with me? And she's like, let me ask them first if it's okay. And she connected me with them, and it was the best experience. And then after that, LASIK was just an amazing brand to work with that I've now referred so many creators to go work with them. And I just feel like there's so much collaboration that can happen and so
Mhm.
many, and I maybe not so much karma, but I feel like the more that you put out and give to people, it's just going to come back to you tenfold. I truly believe that.
That is so true. And it's so, honestly, it's really good to hear that there's so many good and helpful content creators, because there's also this, I mean, I hear the other side of it as well, that, what you see is not real and things like that. So it's really good to hear that, there are still real helpful people. So from the time you started to your first brand deal, how long did it take and how did you kind of work your way up to that?
Man, I would say for the first month and a half, I wasn't getting any traction with my page. I was just like 100 view jail, like most people when they get started. And oh, I started out by just posting my morning routine, my 5 to 9 before my 9 to 5. And that's kind of how I just started because I saw another content creator that was a 20-year-old sharing his life online. And I'm like, maybe this is how I can get started because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to talk about. And that was just kind of my foot in the door. Let's just get this ball rolling.
Yeah.
And so that's how I started sharing my life online. And one night I wasn't able to finish a reel and I asked my husband to just create the voiceover for it. And he ended up making the voiceover for the reel. And that was the first time that I ever did that. And I got that idea from watching another creator. She was doing her makeup and like her brother was doing the voiceover and or he edited the video for her and he made like this very funny video of her doing her makeup and I was like, let me just it would actually be cool to have my husband do a voiceover and he did it and I did not like it. I was like, I'm actually not going to use it. And then the next day, I typically always try to post my content right after dropping the kids off and before going to work. I have a 30-minute window to post, and I just didn't have enough time to re-record a voiceover. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just let this be the reel for the day. And I posted it, and then I would say after a day, it started going viral, like very viral. And a few days later, it had it has over 8 million views now, that video.
Oh,
And
wow.
that video is what brought my account from 100 followers to overnight almost 20,000, maybe more. It blew up my account. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and so that was huge. And from that video is how I think that my first big paid partnership came about. I think there were so many eyes on my video that other the brands got to see it and I started getting a lot of inbound messages and that's when I was very excited, but at the same time, I didn't know what my worth was as a creator. So that's when I started looking for management companies, and that's how my first big brand deal came about. And that brand deal ended up coming in about 3 months, a little over 3 months, maybe closer to 4 months after creating content, starting the page from zero. So I
Wow.
hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was really helpful. And I keep hearing about this hockey stick with content creation or in general, like with founders as well, right? Like you keep doing, and that one night it will
Yeah.
just,
It's usually that one video. If you are super consistent and you're posting consistently, all it takes is one video that's within what your page is about for you to blow up. If someone sees that piece of content and it has so many eyeballs and people resonate with that piece of content, if they go to your page and your other reels have something to do with that viral reel, it's most likely that people are going to follow you. And so that's kind of just what happened to my account.
yeah. When that happened, did you kind of feel like now I have to keep the momentum going? How do I, like, create the same kind of content? What do I do? It's sort of, it's like a good pressure, right? Like you
Yeah,
feel really good, but then you're also like, how do I keep this going?
it was I was so excited and also really a little bit nervous. There were so many more eyes overnight, but I just kept the momentum going. My goal from the beginning was to post 6 days a week for an entire year, and I was going to stick to that no matter what. That was the mindset that I had going in, and I stuck to that. But even those when that reel went viral, I'm like, okay, this is probably going to be more than 1 year thing for me. Like I really enjoy making videos, and I love connecting with other moms, and I love getting to motivate and inspire moms to fill their own cup before the kids are up. And it's just something that now I'm just so passionate about and love, and now love teaching people to inspire people to also create content because it's fun and it can change your life.
Yeah. I think also the fact that having a supportive family is also I would say it's needed, right? Like, I mean, to have your husband do that also is something that it's very helpful.
It's so helpful. If no, for real, my husband is instrumental in my growth, and he's the reason that I'm able to show up on here so consistently. He has picked up so many more things at home that I used to do. Like I used to make the kids lunches. Now it's something that he does because usually when the kids go down, that's when I have my time to edit videos and respond to emails and do all the things that I need to get done. So he is picking up a lot more of the work at home. And so he's been instrumental. And then he's also helping me in the back end. Any automations I set up, he's the one that sets them up for me. He's the one that's checking my email every single day, and he's the one like, this is the one that you need to respond to. I don't have to do all of the heavy lifting myself. He's doing so many things behind the scenes for me.
That is, I mean, that's really really helpful. And okay, so another thing that I want to ask is, you set the 6 day rule for yourself. What about the days that you just don't feel like showing up, and or something that you just feel like you don't feel like posting? And I feel like this is a huge misconception too, because when you're working at a company, it's from Monday to Friday, but as a content creator, you're always on the go. You don't have a Memorial Day, you don't have any of those national holidays that are there. It's just you have to work around that, and people don't get that. So talk us through that.
It's truly your brain does not shut off. Once you become
Yeah.
a content creator, your wheels are always turning on what your next piece of content is going to be, whether you want to or not. I'm just like closing my eyes and the best idea will come to me. And if I don't write it down, that idea is gone. So it's something that I'm constantly thinking about. And there's definitely days where I feel no motivation to post. And those are the most important days to post and show up. And the reason that I say that is because the days that I feel like that, where I have to create a video where I have no idea what I'm going to create that day, those are the videos that do so well. And I don't know what it is about why that's the case. It's typically my most low effort reel where I'm like, let me just create something in 30 minutes or 10 minutes, the time that I have to post. Those are the reels that just have gone viral for me. It's crazy. I don't know what it is. And the reels that you spend so much time editing, sometimes those just completely flop. So the days that I feel no motivation, I'm just like, okay, what am I going to post? And I have a bank in my notes of what real ideas I have sometimes. Sometimes don't even inspire me that same day, and I don't know what I'm going to post. And so I'll go and scroll my phone and look for a hook that maybe like drew me in. And I'm like, how can I share my message with this hook? Like, how can I make this hook my own? And then what components of other reels that I'm seeing or audios that are resonating, what can I use in those? And I piece them together like super quickly. And sometimes those are just the reels that hit. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
How do you take inspiration from that? Because I feel like it's also very, would you say it's like unstable in the sense that you don't know what will work and what will not, and you just have to like keep putting your stuff out there?
Yeah, content that getting really good at your hooks is something that is so important and something that I'm constantly working on and always taking notes from other creators. Especially I'll go to my For You page and look at what is working, what's the thing that pops out on the screen? Why is it popping out? Is it the type of letter? Is it the color? Is it the movement of the whatever the first 3 seconds are? And I'll try to implement those things into my content. And that's just, I really, every day changes. You go and look, and your For You page can look completely different. So you really have to be on top of whatever the algorithm is just pushing out. And you have to be adaptable. You have to continue to learn. And so that's something that I always try to continue to do. My content is going to forever evolve. I'm not going to box myself into just this one way of editing, or the way that I'm creating content now will look, I'm sure, completely different 6 months from now.
And I also feel like we see your growth online, right? Like your four kids, they grow up, then you will have different challenges, and it's very interesting. I feel like sometimes the content creators that I follow, I've been part of the journey of having, being single, from marriage to, having kids. And it's really interesting. And also, as a mom too, like when I become mom, I gravitate towards more mom, and then I start following the content creators who have kids. And so I feel
Yeah.
like the audience also might keep evolving as you're
Yeah, it's
doing.
so true. It's so true. You are drawn to the kind of person that you see yourself in. And so right now I'm in the stage of motherhood where all my kids are very young. I have a 1-year-old to a 7-year-old and in between. And so my kids are very young, and two of them are still home, two of them are just starting school. And so, 5 years from now, all my kids are going to be in school, and the type of mom that is going to relate to my content will be completely different. And even at the beginning, I think I was inspiring and getting a lot more just like women in engineering or women in industries like engineering. And so I had a big pool of those moms follow me at that time. But now that I am no longer in engineering, I've definitely had a drop in, I feel like, moms that joined early on. A lot of my new followers are, I think, all kinds of moms that want to create content of their own, but are just not sure how, or need the inspiration and motivation to continue posting, or inspired to finally post. So it's fun that it has evolved over time.
When you posted about your layoff, did you see a drop in your followership?
Sorry, repeat
When you
the
posted
question.
about your engineering layoff, did you see a drop in your followers?
Completely honest, I never look at my analytics of unfollows. I try not to look at that number because it doesn't matter. It won't impact how I want to create content. I don't want to shift who I am for somebody else. And that kind of goes with, I don't want to care about what other people think of me, because I'm not going to be for everyone.
Mm.
And if someone that isn't a woman in engineering really loves that industry and wants to stay there her whole life, and she just like no longer supports my page, I am completely fine with that. I am not for everyone. And even I will like unfollow people that no longer serve like who I am and what I want to get out of Instagram. And so I think it's okay, and I don't let that number discourage me.
Oh my God, that's such a huge mindset shift. And I feel like when I started, just getting into social media, it was always a number of likes. And, when you're young, you're just like so engrossed into these numbers. But it took me such a long time to get over the fact that doesn't really matter. It's just a number. And now I don't care. But I feel like there is a huge chunk, especially the younger generation, that's still obsessed with these numbers
Yeah.
and
I
the
kind
social.
of want to just completely turn off notifications, because it is that every time you see those numbers, you kind of just get like that dopamine hit and you just want to go back and look at that. But
Yeah.
none of that really matters. In the long run, if you want to be a creator that is successful and continues on, you can't let those numbers get to you, because then it just stops you from creating, or it like kind of blocks you creatively, because you want to appease the
Yeah.
people. But really, it's what do you want to create? Who do you want to be? Not what other people want you to be.
Uh, on that topic, how do you handle trolls? And what was your first experience with trolls? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, no. So that's when my very first reel went mega viral. It was a very controversial video. I had a lot of negative comments, so many negative comments. And it was towards my family and my
Um,
marriage, my husband. And I didn't really take it to heart, because it was a 1 minute video where I share about my morning routine as a mom, and I don't share my husband. I'm not recording what he's doing. So a lot of people just said that I was a single mom and that I didn't have a husband, all these negative things. And none of that it's the furthest thing from the truth, because one, I wouldn't have married a man that was like that. I wouldn't have 4 kids with a man that was like that. And I wouldn't, my page would not be this big if it wasn't for my husband. He is the most supportive, the most wonderful dad, the best friend that anyone could have, the best spouse, the best son, the best everything. Yeah. I don't let, honestly, none of these comments ever get to me because all of them are usually not true. And if there's any mean comment that is something that is true, I look internally, I'm like, is this something that I want to change? And if it bothers me so much, maybe it is something that I need to reflect on. But I really haven't had too many cases of that. I'm trying to even think of something that someone has said negatively that I'm like, oh, maybe I do need to change that. I mean, like, one of the big things for me is I attract a lot of like Indians and people in communities that are like vegetarian, and I am not vegetarian. And so I do get negative comments towards maybe like my eating habits and what I consume. And I think a lot of that is very cultural. And I don't know, I try to be understanding of people's feelings and not take those things so seriously because I think everybody is brought up in a different way and we all have different values because of the way that we were raised. And I just try to be understanding of that. And I'm open to have those conversations in the DMs. And I just don't try to take those things very personally and just be understanding of other people's cultures. So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's something that's going to be tough. And I think your first role is was the hardest. And if you were able to get, because you can take personal comments to yourself, but when it's about your family, that's really hard. And also, if it affects your family, then it becomes even more harder for you. Seems like your husband also doesn't care.
yeah, he was a little bit, he was a little bit hurt, but I'm like, I, people don't know you behind the scenes. We've gotten over it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, when they talk about you, that's a different thing. But when they talk about your family, that's a different thing. But you really have to, and that's the risk, or not even risk. That's the downside of creating
Yeah,
content.
yeah, there will always be trolls. And you kind of know you've made it once you have a troll, is kind of what
Yeah.
I say.
I feel like, yeah, successful people always say things like this that, oh, I mean, the good side is I made it. That's why I have a soul,
Yeah.
which is great. So you you said that you follow a lot of systems and you don't have like a 9 to 5. You have to, work your way around creating those time with 4 children. How do you manage your time? Like, what are the systems, or are there anything that you follow?
Um, we are very routine. Because we have very young kids, I feel like kids thrive on routine, and so do we. And so our days look day to day, our days look very similar. And I try to structure my workday. My workday now is I am self-employed, but I do try to get my tasks that I need to get done in the morning so that in the afternoon I have more room to do other things that I want to get done. But sometimes that's flipped. And this week has looked kind of different. We just got back from vacation, but I try to get back into a semblance back of a routine. And I have commitments every week that are the same every single week. And so I try to stick to some kind of a routine and get my one reel a day done in the morning if I'm able. Post it by lunchtime and then check all my emails, check in with my management company, and then record any brand partnerships that I have. And then all my volunteer work stuff I need to get done. I always have some kind of volunteer thing that I need to do. So I fit that into my day too. And then it's time to go pick up the kids, make dinner, and then do sports practices, get everybody, do bath time, bedtime, and then have me and my husband time, and then go to bed at a reasonable hour. It's just the same every day.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to follow a rigid routine, otherwise, it's just not possible.
Yeah.
Um, do you see that changing? Because, like, when you're a content creator, you might have to start going for events and things like that. Do you have to say no, or have you been saying no actively to things?
I'm really bad at saying no. Really, really bad at saying no, it's something that I've tried to get better at. Last year was my year of no. And so I said no to pretty much everything because I was pouring all my time into my page and taking it off the ground. And so I every spare second that I have, I was doing this. And even last year, I was saying no to a lot of podcasts. I had so many podcast requests, and I said, I'm not going to do any podcasts last year. And this year, I've done 3 podcasts, and I have said yes to more things, but I do see that if I say more yes to more things, I'm taking away from what I can create content about. And so, like, for today, for instance, I haven't created my reel for the day because I've been doing volunteer work all morning. And then I just hopped on a call with you, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to make my reel once we get off here and pick up the kids from school, and then making dinner for our family and my in-laws that I'm making dinner for tonight. And so just trying to balance it all at the same time, it does get challenging. It does. And I'm someone that is always saying yes, so I just have to find that balance between the yes and the no, and fitting in what I actually need to fit in order to make this a business and be successful.
Yeah. Is there a reason why you choose to do the reel the same day and not like, plan it the previous day, take the reel and then post it the next day?
No, I really do need to get ahead.
Okay.
That's what I always did while I had my engineering job. But now that content creation is my full-time thing, I now work in the day. Like now I can make my video in the day. And so I just make the video for that same day and I post it. And I
Okay.
really do need to just get into a better habit of make 2 reels in one day and have one ready for the next day, and then get into that routine of having the reel ready for the next day. That would be ideal. And I just need to get to that point.
Oh, I thought you were trying to like get the same day because also a lot of your stories, like I said, I get to know, the work that you do. I know about the scholarship work that you did. I wanted to know a little bit about that too. Why is it important to fit in the volunteer work as well, along with all the other things that you're doing?
I think a lot of that was just modeled to me as a kid. Both my parents have always been very giving. And I grew up like in a low income household. My parents worked very hard, but they were not making a ton of money. We are an immigrant family, and we started completely over when we got to this country. And my parents have always had, entry level positions, and they still made time for service work. My mom every week went to the local prison and went to volunteer there every week. She would go visit the sick at the hospital. They would both volunteer at our local church. My mom was in so many different groups of women that were doing community service type of work. And so that was just always modeled to me. And from a very young age, I got very involved in community service. And then when it was time to go to college, the only way that I was going to go to college was if I got enough scholarships. I didn't want to go into this huge mountain of debt and take on all these student loans. And so I applied to every single scholarship under the sun. And it's crazy. It's still crazy to me that so many strangers believed in me enough to give me so much money to go to school. And I went to school with scholarships. And so scholarships have always meant so much to me because they changed my life. And I knew that I wanted to give back in that way too once I got out of school. And as soon as I graduated, one of the organizations that gave me one of my big scholarships is called the Esperanza Education Fund, and they're a nonprofit that gives scholarships to immigrant students. Immigrant students just have a lot less opportunities with scholarships in the US. A lot of scholarships, one of the requirements is you have to be a US citizen. And I saw that firsthand. My brothers are both 8 years and 10 years older than me, and they didn't have any of that same opportunities because they weren't able to apply to any of these scholarships. I was very fortunate that I was actually born in the United States, even though I was raised in Colombia. But my dad was in the Colombian Air Force, and the year that he was stationed to work in the U.S., I was born here. So I had the privilege of being born in the U.S. and was super lucky enough to be able to apply to all these scholarships. And so that organization was very meaningful to me. And so I knew I wanted to give back and work with them. And out of school, I started their alumni committee, and it's still going on. And it was the first year that the alumni raised $10,000, which is the amount that they awarded me. And ever since then, I've always been involved in giving back with scholarships in some way. With that organization, it was for 4 or 5 years that I worked with them. And then once we moved to the town that I live in now, I got really involved in Rotary and found out that they had a scholarship committee. And so as soon as I found that out, I wanted to be a part of it. And now I've been sharing it for 5 years. And our next presentation is in 2 weeks, and we'll be awarding $23,700, which is just amazing because just 5 years ago we were giving $7,000. And just the impact that you can have on just taking action and something that you're passionate about is something that I'm passionate about and sharing with others.
I feel like that is so it's so important, that also to see a content creator also showing all of these things. I feel like I didn't have access to these knowledge about these things. So yeah, thank you so much for doing that. And I also feel like you're modeling a great example to your kids as well. Like they're watching you do these things and prioritizing the importance of, giving back. But
Mm-hmm.
how do you see yourself? Like one of the major things, you're becoming famous. How do you see yourself balancing that out as you grow? Are there some rules or things that you have decided that you're not going to compromise? Or,
Man, I truly don't feel like I am famous, even though this weekend for the first time I got recognized in public
yeah,
by a complete stranger on the boardwalk. And I feel like maybe some people would be like scared, like, oh my gosh, I'm now getting recognized. But it was just such a cool moment because the community that I built is just a community of like-minded moms.
yeah,
And I got to meet another mom that is in the early stages of creating her own personal brand and sharing her journey of weight loss and being a business owner. And it's just, to me, it's so cool. And I don't know. I mean, if anything dangerous does happen, if I don't know, maybe I will restrict how much I share. But at this point, I all I feel is just goodness going out into the universe and coming back to me. That's how I feel. And so in this moment, I don't think anything is going to change,
yeah.
and nothing has changed in like who I am or who I want to be.
Um, That's that's honestly beautiful. You created a course for content creators. What made you do that? And I've seen that the response has been amazing. Yeah, walk us through that process of creating that and why you did that.
Yeah. When I've, like I said, this is like my sixth page of trying to create content. And something I've always wanted to try to do is create some kind of digital product, something that is kind of just like a passive income thing. It's not really super passive because you do have to talk about it in order to earn money. And I've been following different creators that sell digital products, and they share also their income transparently. And it's life-changing money. And it's something that I've always wanted to do, but I have no idea what can I create a digital product about. And when I created my page, and what my page is based off of is my morning routine. And I was getting a lot of questions about how are you doing this as a mom? Like, what is your routine? How can this work for me? And so one of the first things I wanted to do was create a digital product to help moms figure out a morning routine that worked for them. But I was doing that on top of my engineering job and on top of creating content. I just didn't have time to make this digital product. I think I got into page 5 and then I stopped because we were also in and out of the hospital last year 5 times with our son. And so it was just like a very difficult time, and I never got around to finishing it. And then once I did start sharing my numbers transparently on how much I was making with brand deals and affiliate links, the majority of the questions that I was getting were all the same about like, how am I creating content? How am I making money online? How did I grow this thing? How can I do this? And so that just became a resounding like, help me figure out how to do it. And that just sparked the, okay, I need to create something that I can help the masses, because I'm responding to DMs, but I can't respond to 1 million DMs saying the exact same thing. I'm like, I need to create something that I can just hand to people and be like, this is everything I know about creating
Yeah.
content, how to start a personal brand, and how to actually monetize your page. And so that kind of sparked the, okay, let's put this out. And I started that while I was still in engineering. And it was taking me such a long time to get this product put together because it's so much knowledge. And I really truly wanted it to be a one-stop shop. Like, this is everything you need to get started with content creation if you have no idea what you're doing, and everything that I've just learned the past year, how I've gotten to this point. And so it was taking me a long time to put it together. The only time I had was after getting the kids down once they were asleep. And so I would spend hours a night working on it, but it was still not enough time to finish it. And that's when I got fired from my job, and the sign I needed to just like, okay, you actually need to create this product. And I poured 2 months of like working full time on this thing. And that's when, after those 2 months, is when I launched the course. And in the first week, I think sold over 800 courses, which
Mhm.
is crazy.
Yeah. Do you see more products coming? What are the responses that you're getting? And are there more like ideas in terms of like growing that?
It has been a resounding thank you so much for creating this and putting this thing together. I've gotten so much value out of it. Something that I was afraid of putting it out is it not being good enough and people being disappointed by it. That's the last thing I want with this product.
Yeah.
And so I just want to keep pouring into it and keep adding on to it, whatever I'm learning as I go. And so right now I'm working on module 8. Right now the course is 7 modules, and it's video modules, every module with a bunch of added context to the video and then actionable homework steps, because I want it to be an actionable course. I don't want it to be something that you just read and then not take action on. And so my goal is just to continue adding on to this thing, but my husband and other people are like, you really just need to create something else instead of just pouring more into this. But I do want to keep pouring into this, but I also am thinking like, now what's something that I can create on the side that is adjacent that can also help people. But right now I'm trying to focus on just let's continue to make this the best thing ever. I'm trying to fill in any gaps that I have with this course. And so I'm working on that now, and then I'll continue to think about what's next.
What's next for you? How do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Oh my gosh, I love this question. I hope to do more of the things that I love and light me up, and a lot of that is community service work and just making a bigger impact in people's lives, in moms' lives, and in making people believe in themselves to, one, move their bodies and work out and feel like themselves again after being a first time mom or after having many kids. I feel like a lot of times moms lose themselves in motherhood, and helping moms find what they're passionate about again. That's a big passion of mine. And then giving back to my community and just being a more present and fun mom. So yeah, all of those things.
Uh, I have some quick questions. So, one creator you genuinely admire.
my very my The creator that inspired me, Alex on a budget, but she changed her handle to Alex, and I cannot pronounce her last name.
Okay.
Petra something.
Okay. A habit that changed your life.
Getting up before my kids, hands down.
Oh, really? I mean, because you seem like you're a morning person because you wake
No,
up early.
no, no. It's still something I struggle with on a daily. I'm not a morning person. If the kids didn't wake me up, I would wake up at 9.
Oh, wow. Most underrated skill in content creation.
Public speaking. That might not be underrated, but I feel like not to be successful, but it's just a really great skill to have, is to be well spoken and be able to get your point across and relate to people and kind of get in people's heads and say what they're thinking. That is
Mhm.
a really amazing skill.
And did you develop that over time?
Yeah, it's still something I'm developing. I don't think that I am a great public speaker.
Oh, wow. No, I think you're really good.
Oh, thank you.
One thing you're protecting your peace from right now.
The news, I can't. I will spiral very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's hard. And we always end with a book that changed your life and a quote that you live by.
Mm, the book Miracle Morning, one of the books that helped me become a morning person. And the also I have to say this other book, it's called Mindset. And it's teaching you how to have a growth mindset and how to raise your kids with a growth mindset. I think that is Probably the number one skill I want to instill in my kids is to always have a growth mindset.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. And especially in this day and age, I feel like our younger generation is, they have a lot going on. And a quote.
A quote, be the change you want to see in the world.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much, Steph. This was really helpful, and I feel like I learned so much. And thank you for keeping it so real in the world. I feel like content creation, especially now, it just feels like as an audience, it's really hard to see who is real and who's not. But there are certain people that you can really connect with and know that they are being honest, and you're one of them. And thank you so much for making it real for moms out there.
Thank you. I so appreciate you for having me on. I am honored.
That was my conversation with Steph. What stood out to me most is that Steph's story isn't really about going viral. It's about giving yourself permission to evolve. She built confidence through consistency, through uncertainty, and through showing up before she fully felt ready. And I think so many people needed this reminder. You don't have to have it all figured out before you begin. Whether it was motherhood, engineering, content creation, or building a business of her own, Steph kept choosing growth over fear. And that mindset completely changed the trajectory of her life. A true testament to why she chose the book Mindset, because she truly embodies that in her real life. I also love how much this conversation centered around community, generosity, and helping other people win alongside you. She's such a cheerleader. In a world where so much online can feel performative, Steph reminds us that authenticity still connects the deepest. If this episode resonated with you, send it to someone who's rebuilding, pivoting, or trying to trust themselves a little more right now, or trying to create something. This will be truly inspirational for them. And if you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow Be Anomalous for more honest conversations with creators, founders, people truly rewriting the rules in their own way. Until next time, I'm Sai Menon. Be bold, be real, and be anomalous.